Before participating in any activity that involves being around people, I evaluate the risks of contracting COVID-19. Nobody in our family is at high risk of developing serious illness, and I always take precautions when going out. When I go out, I wear a mask, sanitize my hands, and plan my trips accordingly to protect myself, my family, and others. I consider myself lucky. Not only is there a fair in my current hometown where I can hop on a train and be there in less than 20 minutes, but I'm lucky I even have this opportunity at all. While most countries are still in lockdown, Switzerland allowed a carnival to reopen. At first it may seem a bit cruel until you see how many restrictions they have put into place. So what are the restrictions and how are they preventing the spread of COVID-19? As you can see in this footage, the midways can become heavily congested. However, wearing a mask is mandatory, not just on the rides but anywhere within the fairgrounds. This rule is strictly enforced with large signs throughout the area and police walking around to remind guests. For the most part, people were respectful of these rules. It all depends on the people, as one of my visits was loaded with unruly maskless teenagers. Even then, the ride ops were constantly reminding them to put on their masks. Like most fairs, many of the rides are cash only, which is a great vector for disease. However, guests are obligated to sanitize their hands after paying a ride ticket. Sanitizer is also available outside most rides as well. But the biggest problem I had there was that there were no capacity limits on the rides. In fact, many times I was forced to sit on the outside to make way for other people. I prefer a little distancing during these times, especially if I'm next to someone without a mask on. Luna Park may be small, but it still manages to pack in a great variety of rides for all guests. For the little ones, there are trampolines, merry-go-rounds, and more. Kids and families alike will be able to enjoy a surprisingly forceful little drop ride known as T-Rex Tower. There are also at least 4 bumper cars attractions. For those seeking thrills, Luna Park has got you covered. 2 of my favorite ride models exist here: a spinning pendulum ride and a breakdance. For the most daring, there is the Maximum Energy, Pegasus, and Tagada. Maximum Energy is one you would want to skip out on if you have a fear of heights. This is one of the craziest rides I've ever done, as it flips violently from almost 200 feet in the air and even drops upside down. This is a feeling you get on no other ride, and it is truly terrifying. Pegasus is a mix of a top spin and a top scan. The ride flips riders upside down in the most bizarre and unimaginable ways possible. And then there is Tagada, which is more of a sport than a ride. If you don't know what that is, that's because these rides are so wild that they are banned in the USA and other countries. There are no seatbelts, and if that isn't crazy enough, the ride operators can make it tilt and bounce around, making it very easy to get hurt. In fact, my brother got pretty banged up on this ride. And get this, the ride was so rough, it actually broke my GoPro. That's right, my camera turned off because it could not handle being in this blender of an attraction. Just watch the footage and find out.
Let's see how many fails we can get.
On y va! Restez bien assis, attention! Aïe, 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 cheers!
Oh, yeah, you can get hurt on this thing. These are dangerous. Yeah, you can actually get hurt on these. Oh no, I can't get up. I'm falling and I can't get up. Ah!
Tu vas te faire mal, chez moi.
You okay, dude?
Toujours! Allez, dans l'autre sens, ça recommence.
For all the coaster nerds out there, yes, there is a credit. It may be just a little kid's powered coaster, but this thing is surprisingly forceful for its size. Rides aside, there are also a lot of games scattered throughout the area, although they are all clones of each other. Most of them are the traditional ones where you have to knock things down and try to win a giant stuffed animal, but there are also some smaller ones like a punching game. Overall, there is certainly no shortage of fun here. A carnival is not complete without carnival food, and there's no shortage of that here. While there are no funnel cakes or corn dogs, there is of course cotton candy, and lots of other types of candy. Near one of the entrances, there is a stand where you can get hot dogs, pizza, and churros, but other than these places, it is not too much in terms of variety. This is understandable when you are near so many different restaurants. There are no bathrooms or water fountains in the fairgrounds, so you will need to bring a bottle of water. If you need to relieve yourself, the bathrooms at the nearby skate park are free of charge and within minutes of walking. Compared to a fair I visited in Spain back in 2019, the one in downtown Geneva is kept pretty clean, COVID procedures aside. There is not much trash on the ground and everything is maintained well. I was also surprised at how quick and efficient the dispatch times were for every ride. Immediately as you board any of the rides here, an attendee makes sure your restraint is fastened and starts the ride without hesitation. The dispatch times are only about 30 seconds, where the only comparison I can draw would be to the likes of Europa Park. Lastly, I felt pretty safe here. I never saw any ride malfunctions or breakdowns. There are no bag checks or metal detectors of any kind, meaning that anyone could potentially come through any gap in the rides and bring something potentially dangerous. However, I felt like there was a slim chance of something like this happening. For those worried about pickpocketing, all the rides have bins or places to store your belongings and keep them safe. But there was one thing that freaked me out, and this was on the breakdance, where riders wait on the platform while the ride is in motion. This is just an accident waiting to happen, and it is quite terrifying being so close to all those fast-moving spinning gondolas. Like most fun fairs, you will have to pay for individual tickets, so be prepared to bring lots of cash. There may be one or two rides that accept credit cards, but for the most part it's cash only. There is no deal where you can get a wristband for unlimited ride access, but they do have the option of paying for 3 rides. At another fair I visited, they didn't have this option and you had to pay each time you wanted to ride something. The rides here are not too expensive either. Most of them cost 5 Swiss francs per person, or 5.41 USD, or 4.54 euros. Compare these prices to the fair that I visited in Spain in 2019, where each ride costs around 12 euros. In general, I feel like this fair gives a better value than the one in Spain. Not only will you spend less money, but the rides are better here. I also feel that the employees are much nicer when it comes to paying them. At the Semana Negra fair in Spain, the rides were so expensive that I would give the employees extra money so I could get change, and they would get angry at me. But at Luna Park in Geneva, there was no hesitation to give back change. To answer the question, should you go to Luna Park in Geneva? Absolutely. The rides are great and inexpensive, and the location is perfect. I walked away feeling like my money was well spent, and nothing seemed scammy or any bit of a ripoff compared to the other fair I visited. If you are in Geneva and the Luna Park is up and running, I highly recommend visiting. So that was my experience at the Luna Park in spring 2020 in Geneva, Switzerland. Please make sure to give this video a like and subscribe. It will really help me grow my brand, and you will be able to see more videos of interesting places, including an upcoming trip to a different fair. This particular Luna Park is no longer operating, but there are various other ones in the same area each year. For a more in-depth analysis, make sure to check out my blog post at theatypicalcoasternerd.com and follow my Instagram for more exciting content. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.